Decade fashion is over. Welcome to the funeral. Hi, I'm Elle. I started a subset called Theory where I get into everything fashion, history, pop culture, all kinds of shit. So today we're talking about how we are past the era of eras. It's over, and no, I'm not talking about her. This article was inspired by the teachers that I saw on TikTok saying that their teenagers were dressing up as VSCO girls for Decade Day, which I couldn't believe considering we're in the same decade as when that first happened. In America, our cultural fashion moments used to be defined into neat little increments, each wave being given its own name like little cultural hurricanes. But in the modern era, I think it's a little bit harder to categorize. Post-war manufacturing made it easy to clad the masses in efficient uniformity. Culture was floated by production cycles, and even if I don't mention the decade, if I say things like mod, grunge, or McBling, you already know exactly what I'm referring to. And I actually totally understand the VSCO girl phenomenon. It was kind of the last time that we experienced that homogeny as a culture. The pandemic forced us inside our homes to sit in our aesthetic choices rather than just consuming them, while the introduction of TikTok fractured Gen Z from the rest of the mass manufacturing cycle. Simply put, we are too obsessed with self-expression through style, and we are never going back. And I know that microtrends got a lot of hate, but I actually think they were the market's reaction to this sudden shattering of the social script. Because when you base your entire business model on chasing trends, a sudden influx of a ton of different aesthetic interests is gonna make your output very chaotic. I've always kind of seen this cycle of fashion as kind of like women rejecting what their mothers wore but adopting what their grandmothers wore in like a different font. And I think the Gen Z are the ones that finally broke this cycle because we are the generation that grew up with endless inspiration at our fingertips. So we started choosing for ourselves. We are no longer beholden to the mass manufacturing cycle. Now, following along with this, I think that as our personal styles get more solidified and unique, we're going to see a rise in niche designers and brands with their own cult following and aesthetics. While I think that massive chains are going to fall to the waysides and be delegated to things like perfume, shoes, and basics. I think we've been too harsh with the aesthetic and the microtrend conversation, honestly. We're a generation who grew up on Pinterest, so the need to define our styles in terms of SEO is really not that surprising. So that's why I think that we are officially past the era of eras and are in the era of self-influencing. And this is also why I'm starting another series on my Substack where I go over what's timeless and what's a trend, and I tell you what trends that I think you should pounce on for the ultimate timeless wardrobe while the market is flooded with tons of options. So stay tuned.